you probably have too many tasks in your project networks. At least that is the point of view of Marris Consulting. Let me explain it. Okay, we find we regularly divide the number of tasks in our clients' project networks by a factor of 4 or 10, for instance. Okay, we do this because we're often using the critical chain project management approach. So this is linked to that way of managing projects. But this video is about granularity. Okay. Why do people have such huge granularities, 10,000, 100,000 tasks and stuff? Well, this is probably, we believe, because of micromanagement creeping in year by year. Their projects were late, they failed, they lost money, and so they decided they needed to control things better. And so they put in more detail, they ran again, failed again, and so year by year, decade by decade, just got more and more detailed. And of course, having good computer power and software these days helped in that era. Okay, so what happens when you do that? Well, in fact, you're going backwards. That's to say, the results will be worse. You'll find that monitoring is more and more difficult because although you know exactly what happened on this task on that day, etc., it's more difficult to stand back and understand if your project is on track or not. Right, you're drowning in details. There are more and more errors, right? Tasks missing, wrong predecessors, durations wrong, people, resources identified wrong and stuff. More and more mistakes. Communications is more and more difficult. You get these monsters which require a full-time specialist technician to manage the 10,000 tasks. He's the only one who really understands the model, and he then has to try and get everybody who's actually doing the project to understand the actors of the project, and that gets to be difficult, so people don't really understand what's going on anymore. So you end up with something where everybody is completely lost. Okay. So as I said, we divide by 4, sometimes 10, the number of tasks in networks. Let me give you an example that comes from aeronautical MRO, right? The maintenance of airplanes, which we do a lot of. Have a look at our videos. This is true of whether you're working, for instance, for Air France with their Boeings and Airbuses, or for business jets, Embraer and so forth, right? Let me describe the case of Embraer. There's a detailed video which you can have a look at if you want to see the whole of that case study. On a type of business jet, the check C or 96-month, the equivalent of 100-mile checkup for a car. They had 1,600 tasks that had to be done. That was mandatory, and so they had to have that level of detail. But to manage the work, we used 170 work packages. That's to say, we brought work orders together in packages, and those were the entities that we managed to execute. Okay, so they had 1,600 things to do, only 170 entities to manage the flow and get the project finished on time, which they did, of course, going twice as fast, increasing productivity by 40%, and so forth. Have a look at the video. The other reassuring thing about what I'm saying in granularity is it's not a necessary condition to succeed. You don't have to do a big change in granularity to succeed with critical chain. And so we quite often find that our clients take their time and do it stage by stage, which is fine by us. Okay, let me give you a completely different example. People in the oil and gas industry that design and build big floating factories for the oil exploration business. Okay, their clients ask them for a lot of details contractually with Primavera, 10,000, 20,000 tasks and stuff like that, right? They'd already decided not to manage things that way and were only managing 8,000 tasks when we met them. But with critical chain, we did the first pilots where we'd already reduced the number of tasks by 2. We were down to 4,000 tasks, sorry. So and those projects were successful, went fast and so forth. And after that, they decided they could probably, they felt courageous enough to reduce even further the level of granularity, and they're now working at 2,000, right? So their client asked for 20,000, their model was 8,000 initially. They're going to end up managing 2,000 packages of work, right? So that's another good example, okay? So what is the rule defining granularity? It's hard to give you a simple rule. I think the best way of looking at it is for it to be of the same order of magnitude as the frequency of your updates, right? Imagine you running projects with a weekly update, right? You update the status of your projects every Monday, okay? Those networks probably should not contain tiny little tasks of only 1 hour, okay? And conversely, they probably shouldn't contain too long tasks of maybe a month, right? And so long tasks will have to be cut down into subtasks of a few days so that you can properly monitor the progress of your project, okay? I hope this helps. Thank you very much.